Hello guys, how are you? I am Noor, and in today's session, I decided to cover the complete topic how we can create the React.js CRUD application with the help of ASP.NET 7 REST APIs. Okay, so basically, we will create the React.js web application. We will perform all the CRUD operations, and for the backend, I mean for the APIs, I will use the ASP.NET 7 REST APIs, right? So let's we begin. First of all, I will create a React application. So let's me navigate to the folder where I want to create the project. Okay, so here will be my folder React CRUD. Okay, and here inside this folder, I will create the application. MD. Okay, now here you have to give the command for creating the React.js application. Okay, so to create the React.js app, you have just to type this command: Control V, npx create React app, and here you have to give the name of your application, like my CRUD app. Okay, it will be the application name. Press enter. The project name migrated because of NPM naming restriction. Name can no longer contain capital letter. Okay, right. So npx create React app my app, like in this way. So you have now to give the capital letter in the project name as the warning message tells us here. I will also tell here that you should install the node on your machine for creating the React.js application. So I expected that you have already installed the node on your machine. If you have not installed node, then you can install from the official site of the node. Let me show you. Download, sorry, download node for Windows. At this time, I am using Windows machine. That is why I will download for the Windows. So it is the official site of Node.js. So you have to first install Node.js on your machine, and then you can create the React.js application, right? So I will type here again the command for creating the application. You can see here I have just give a command npx create React app, and here I am just giving a name to my application. Now press enter. Press enter again. Okay, no, the app will be created inside the given directory within minutes. It will take a little time for the first time to create the application. Once your application created successfully, then the React.js application running very fast as compared to other web-based application like the SPMVC application. If you are using the Python Django framework, then it takes a little time. But the React.js application running in a very fast way. For the first time, it will take a little time to install all the necessary packages. No, I am just pausing the video. Once all the package is installed, then I will restart again. Successfully. Now let's me Okay. So let me go to the folder, copy the path, Control C, and inside the Visual Studio Code, I have to open a folder, Control V, press Enter, and select folder. Yes, trust. And here you can see the structure, the folder structure of the React.js application, right? Now, let me show you the important files like app.css, app.js, and the other files. And here we have the public folder and some important other files like package.json. I am expecting a basic knowledge of React.js from your side, because in this session I will not tell you about the basic things in React.js. I will show you how we can perform the CRUD operation. So let me first run the project, and let's see the output in the browser. Npm start. So it is the command for running the React.js application. Okay. As you can see that here we have a very basic React.js application. Now, first of all, I will add here a menu, and I will add here a footer, and I will remove all these things. Okay. So let me go to the Bootstrap official site, Bootstrap nav bar, right? And from here, I will just copy a simple nav bar like this one. Yes, I think it is. Sorry, let me copy the complete. Here are also other samples. I will copy this one. Okay, and let me go to this application, and here in the src, I will add here a new folder. Here I will give the name to the folder like compo components. Yes, and I will also add one another folder view. Okay, and inside the component, let me add the navbar, new file, navbar.js. Okay, and inside the navbar.js, I will add a basic React.js function component. I think there is no plugin install for getting the auto generated code. So I will just copy a very simple React.js function component, and I will paste here. So we can create like in this way. I will give here the name navbar for z, yes, and here I will just return the simple HTML. Let me copy from here. I am just copying from the existing code so that we can save our time and not waste our time in the extra thing. And now I will just export the component. Okay, copy. Okay, so it is the basic React.js component, function component, and here we have to return the HTML, and I will show you all the things step by step. Okay, now let's me go to the Bootstrap official site, copy the simple navbar HTML code, and paste here. Control V, format document. Okay, and you have to replace all the class with the class name. In React.js, you know that uh, for the class, we are using class name, not directly class, right? So Control C, Control F. Here I will replace the class is equal to with class name is less all, right? And now go to the app.js, remove all this code like in this way, and I will add, sorry, Control Z, Yes, remove all this code. Here I will add a component file routing.js. Yes, and inside the routing.js for the first for this time just copy, sorry, Control A, Control C, Control V, remove all this code, give the name routing, Control C, Control V, and here I will define the routing. And at the top, I will first import the navbar because I want the navbar to be display on all the pages. So let's me import the navbar. Sorry guys. And I will also import the other important things like import for default routing, navbar, right? Import React from React, sorry, import navbar from navbar. Okay, now it's working fine. And I will import the routing inside the app.js here. So let's me import Control V, like in this way, Control G. It's not imported automatically. So let's me import manually. Routing from components routing. Control S, and let's we see the result in the browser. Here we have nothing to display. So I just go to the console. Let me show you whether we are getting some errors or everything running fine. Console. The tag routing is unrecognized in this browser. If you mean to render a React component, start its name with an uppercase letter routing. Okay, so let me just change the name a little. Mm, yes. Okay. Yes. Control C and also replace here. Control S and now go to the app.js. Also replace here. Routing. Control S. Go to the application. The take route is analyzing the browser. That means I think I am doing some kind of mistake. Never right and inside the crowd routing I am importing crowd routing and here I have the crowd routing. Why I am getting this error? Take routing is unrecognized in this browser. A React component start its name with upper letter. I think I am getting some kind of let's me rename again. Sorry guys for the inconvenience. I don't want to remove any part of the errors from these videos so that you can get the clear idea how am I um, uh, solving the issues that I am facing. Yes, and now I will also replace this one. Go to the app.js, okay, and also replace the navbar name N should be capital. Yes. Here we should also replace with this one and go to the nav bar, and here also keep the name in capital. Control S, go to the application. As you can see that no, it's working fine, but there is, I think, Bootstrap library install, right? No, I will install first Bootstrap inside my React.js application. Uh, Install Bootstrap in React.js web app. Okay. npm install Bootstrap, and then I will import inside the app.js, right? So I will first run this command, copy the command, go to your application, go to the terminal, and install the Bootstrap first. Okay, guys, the Bootstrap installed successfully. Now I will import it inside the app.js so the whole app can access it, right? Now I will import by this command. Go to the app.js and import here the Bootstrap. Control S and just go to the application, refresh. Here you can see that the nav menu working now correctly. Now let's me replace something. Thing, Navbar, and inside the navbar, let's me, yes, it will be our home page, and here I will add will perform the CRUD on the students. Okay, so here will be my student list, right? And here will be the create student option. This one and copy this one again. Dates. I think I should give an edit button here inside the student list for editing. So let's me also remove this one. Okay. Go to the application. Home current. Let's me also replace the home. Add Control S. Okay. Home student list create student. Right. And let's me give some margin. Bootstrap margin. Bootstrap margin from all sides. Yes. Let's me give the margin 1. Control S. Select 1. If I just make it M2, okay, now it's working fine. And here I will add a footer, and inside these or content for the who for the student list and create students will be appeared. Right now, let's me also add the footer. Copy this one, Control C, and just Control V. Okay, and let me give here a name, footer footer.js. Okay, and let me also replace the name, and inside the footer I will just display footer at this time. The footer, Control S, and let me also import the footer inside the CRUD routing here in this place. Okay, it is imported also. Control S. Inside the footer, let me just add a simple uh, tag one footer, right? Okay, it's footer. Currently, we have no body content. That is why the footer is coming at the top. But when we add some data to the student list and other pages, then it will go to the bottom, right? Now, let me add the two pages, the create student and student list inside the views. Okay. Now, I will just copy the neighbor, Control C, and let's me paste here. I will rename it to students list. Okay. Control C and replace the function name and also replace this content, right? And now I will also add one another component create student. Control C, yes, Control V, and the name of this function will be student, right? Control V, Control V, right? Now we have created all the basic components. Now inside the CRUD routing, here I will add the routing for these two pages for the create student and for the student list. So to add routing to your application, I have just to copy the example code from here, control A, control and this one and this one, control C and paste here. Format the document and it will be our a home page. Let's also add the home page. New file, home.js, sorry, yes, it's home page, H2, it's home page, right? Control S. Let me close all these things, close all, save, okay? And let me also close all these menus as these folders. Now I will go to the app.js and here I have added the CRUD routing. Let me go to the definition of the CRUD routing and here I have added the navbar. It will be display for all pages. I have added the footer. It will also be display in all pages. And here I have added routing for the sites. For the home page, it will be our default routing. And here let's me add routing for the students list. Students list and stu my component will be student for the student also. Sorry guys, Control Z, import student list from student list. Okay. No, Control S. Routes is not defined. So let's me import the route. Put it automatically. So let's me go to my site and I have to import all these from React Router DOM. Okay. I have reported the roads, the link, the roads, the navigate, and all things that are necessary. Control S. Okay, again I have module not found, error cannot solve, React router or DOM. Okay, so let's me install this to my site. Install React router DOM. Okay, so copy this command and go to the terminal. Install. I'm going in a little fast way because I'm expecting you people a basic knowledge about the React.js, and so that we can complete the things on time and the videos length not goes very lengthy. No, Control S, and let's we see the result. Default in React router. I think I am doing some mistakes. React router room, browser routes, navigate. Control S. It's not working. I think I am doing was not found in React router possible export. Wait, see the error and I will start again. Okay, guys. So basically, I think I am missing something. Uh, if I just go to the index.js and okay, so you have to import these things from React router Doom, and then you have just to enclose the app component inside browser root, right? Go to the index.js and enclose the app component inside the browser root, inside this one, right? As I show you, I have already installed the React router Doom package. If I can show you here, okay? So the error was coming basically due to this reason. You have to enclose the app inside the browser root, and also you have to import like in this way, right? Now go to the CRUD routing. Here I have also import all the necessary things from React route to Doom, and here you have to define your routes. Okay, so my first route is towards the home page. My second route is towards the student list. It will be the path, and let's me also define the route for the create student. Okay, it will be the path create student, and it will be my component. Sorry, it will be my view. I mean the page create student, right? And I will also import here from the create student, control C, control V, and here. Go to the nav bar, and inside the nav bar, you have to define these routes for student list, homepage, and create student. Now replace the anchor tag with the link for React, okay? And you can see that also the link imported, and here also replace this one. Uh, Give here a 2 instead of href. Yes, and inside the 2 you have to define your route. My route will be for the home page, it will be this one, and let's me also replace the student list and create students list, create student, sorry guys, T, and let's me copy the routes for this one, student list. Yes, and for the create student it will be this one. Now control S, go to your application, home page, student list, create student. Let me add some content to these pages. To the student list, it will be my student list, student list, and let me also here some text to the create student page. It student. Control S, go to the application again, home, it's student list, create. I think it's still not save. Go to the student list, control S, okay. Yes, no, it's working. It is my create student page, the student list, and it is my home page. Okay, nice. You can see that the page not refreshing completely because in React only the required content just replace. If I click on student list, you can see that not these all content replace. If I click on create student, just the content of the create student page replaced, right? No, I will first, get the student list from the database, right? Now, let me just copy a simple bootstrap table, yes, and let me copy this table. Control C, go to the student list, and here I will paste the student list. Yes, okay. Format the document, and let me place this h2 tag inside a div, format document, and I will replace all the class with a class name. Class is equal to with class name. Also replace this one, this one, this one. Okay, refresh the page. You can see here student list, and let me paste. Footer is should be at the bottom. It's working. No, I will. Set these at some later stage. So initially we will do the required work. Student list. So if somebody click on this tab, then the student list should be populated from the database, right? Now let's me define the column. First, student name, okay, student name, L, and edit here the student. So let's me also remove this one. Control C, Control V, and Control V, Control S. And here in the use effect, I will make an API call for getting the student list. So first define here a variable for the student list. I have go to my existing application, and I will just copy like in this way, Control C. I will use the use state, sorry. And here, let's me define a student list, set student list. Okay, it will be the function for setting the student list. And let's me assign here an empty array at this time. Okay. Now inside the use effect, I will make an API call for getting the student data. So let's me also copy a use effect. I have a use effect here in a page. Let's me copy this one and paste here, just for the saving purpose. Okay. Here I will make the API call. Okay. So the use effect is basically in React.js we are using like the document.ready in jQuery. when all the do object ready, then this function should be fire, right? Control Z, yes, like in this way. So the use effect, data operation in use effect. Once the page ready, this function will be fired, and inside this function, I am just defining a function data operation in use effect, and you can see that this function is defined here. And here I will send the parameter. I will send no parameter at this time, right? I'm just getting a data from the API, and here I will use the API call. So to make an API call, to make a get API call, let's me copy this one and paste here, right? I will use the AXYS for getting the for using the API call. So let's me install this one, search for this package, Axios, okay, copy the package name and go to the terminal and install this in your system. We are using these for making the APIs call. We are also using, we can also use the fetch, but I will suggest to use this package for making the API call. Okay, so I will import it in my system. You can see that it is imported successfully. Now here I will define a URL of my API. At this time, because I have no API, so it will be an empty URL at this time, right? And I will not send any parameter at this time. That is why I will remove, and I will just send the header. Let's suppose I have the URL like HTTP, like something local host. I will define the URL completely at some later stage, but at this time, let's me make a for loop. I mean, the for each loop in React.js. You know that we are using the dot map for making a list of objects. So once I get the student list from the database using the API, then I will use here a for loop, and I will print all the elements. I mean all the students here inside this place, right? Now let's me just copy a simple for loop. Let me show you. I will just copy some example code. Okay, let me go to the products. Yes, common, refresh, about, vectors, FAQ, component, layout, products, filter option, product retab one. Let me see here whether we have some kind of example map. No, no one. Product retab one. Yes. And let's me copy here some example map. Copy this one and paste here. Okay. And I will make the for loop on the student list. And here let's me copy this one and I will paste here. Sorry guys, control Z. I think it's not completed copy. So let's me copy this one and I will paste here. So just format the document. Okay, remove all these things. Okay, now here I will, if let me also remove this class. I think there is no need, right? Control S. Now go to the student list page. Use effect is not defined. Let's import the use effect. Control Z. Control Z. Yes. Okay, now the package imported successfully. Control S. And here you can see that we have no data in the student list because uh, the student list is currently empty. Once I fill these from the API, from the database, then each and everything will be displayed. Okay. Now I will create the API project first of all, so that we have some basic things. It was our folder courses React CRUD, and here I will add an API project. My CRUD API project, right? Okay. Now open the Visual Studio. If you have not installed, you have to install the Visual Studio, the latest edition. Now click on this one. Okay. And here I have to create a new project. Search here for ASP, MVC, MVC, API, and select this one, ASP.NET Core Web API, right? And click on next. Give a name to you. First, give a path to your project. Press enter, select folder, and here you have to give a name to your project. My CRUD project, right? And click on next. And here from the drop down, you have to select the .NET 7.0, the latest edition at this time, and leave the other things as it is, and just click on create. Okay. Now the API project created successfully. If I just show you the folder structure, you can see here the controllers and other things. So let's me add here one another controller, my own controller, API empty controller, and let's me add here the controller. The controller name will be student students controller. Add the controller added successfully, and let's me replace the controller with student, and I will add here one API for getting the list of students. Public I action result get sorry students list, right? And I will define a route over this API. Yes, the route will be API student and then uh, get student, and I will return here some the student list. Return, okay, student list. So I will add here a class for storing the student data. So add a folder models, and here inside the models I will add a new class. Class name will be student. Yes. Let's me add some property to these class. public int student ID set. Okay, I will add one another property for student name and email also, email, and it will be a string of nullable type. Okay, I will get these. I will return a student from this API. Let me make a list of the students. Okay, sorry, will return these students. Let's suppose, guys, once you hit this API from the React.js application, then at this stage, let's suppose you get some records from the database, get students list from database. Okay, so it is your job how to get the student list in the spmvc.net 6 APIs from the database. Okay, and here for the time I will just put some simple data to the student list and I will return. Okay, now I will add here some dummy data, new student. Okay, email, sorry, id will be let's suppose id is equal to 1, id is equal to 1, name is equal to no, the email will be Noor Yudin dot. Yes, and let's me add one another row. Okay, I will add total 3 rows, 2, 3, and let's suppose the name is John, and the email, let's suppose the test, and here let's suppose the student ID is equal to 3, the student name is, let's suppose, mm, Aisha, and let's me also type the ID for this one. So I will return these records, these 3 records to my API. Now put here a debugger and I will run the application. Okay, fetch error, right, local swagger S1. Okay, so it is not a big issue. Let's me go to the application again and here let's me type this URL. So API student and this one and complete URL, let's suppose. Copy the complete URL and paste here inside the React.js get function. So these complete URL will be passed to the API and it will return a response to us. Okay, so as you can see that the API hit it successfully. Let's me also put here a debugger. Go to your go to your React.js application. Yes, just click on home and click on console, clear all thing, and click on student list. Okay, and here the debugger is hit inside React.js application. I mean this debugger. Okay, now here at this point, an API call will be made. You can see that I have created the API project inside Visual Studio. So it is the .NET 7 REST API, and here at this point, our debugger will be hit. So let's me step forward from the React.js application. Uh, step next, and step next. Step next, sorry, step next. Okay, you can see that the debugger is hit successfully. Now let's me remove the debugger from this place. F10, 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 and let's me see once here. Course, and let's me make the API call again. Home, student list, F10, F10. Give me some issue. Let me check. Wait, API. Okay. Let's me assign the response to this variable just for the time. Okay. Okay. It's giving me some error. So let's me also put here a debugger. This error, network error. I am getting some cause by no access control error header. Okay. I think my application access to from origin has been blocked by course policy. Okay. So we have just to make some small changes to our the API project to get the complete data. So let's me copy the setting. I have already a setting for one of my applications, so I will use this existing setting. To the API project, and inside the API project you have to go to the program.cs class, and here at this place you have to add a core policy. Builder.services my allow origin specific. So let's me also copy these variable from my other project. Here I have to type one also. Okay, my namespace. I will just give here this variable value directly, right? Remove this one, and I will allow my React.js URL. So copy the React.js URL and paste here. It means that you are allowing your React.js application. So I will allow here v comment this one, and also remove the extra code at this time. Okay. Now I am allowing my React.js application to access my APIs, right? There will be also some other settings. One another setting just F10. Okay. And here I have also to use app.use authorization. App.use authorization. Okay. Now I will also add here this variable. Control S. Now I stop the application. I will run the application again. Okay, now the application running successfully. I will go to my React.js application, go to home page, clear all these old data and click on student list. Let's we see what happened. So access to from origin has been blocked by corner access control. I think I am still getting this issue. So let's me see whether we have some other setting also for this kind of thing. Configuration web application, email sender, it is our course policy setting. Okay, add session. Let me add one more setting. I will disable this one. Control K C. Stop the application again. Continue. It's just stopping our access to the API from our React.js application. So clear all these old data. Click on home again. Student list. Okay. I think we have successfully get the response. In the response, we have the data, and the data is our student list. If I just go to console, response dot data. Okay, so we have get the data and it is our student list. Let's me do some other handlings. Response is not equal to null, and response dot data dot length ph is greater than 0. Let me also put here some one another check. Response is not equal to undefined, then I have to use this function for filling the student list from the response. So I have to use set student list, and inside the parentheses, I mean inside the parameter, you have to pass the response dot data. Okay, and once this line execute, then there will come there will come record inside this variable, and you are using here a for loop to print all the things. Okay, so it will be the id item dot student id inside your API. It is our API project, and go to the student. So I will turn student ID, right? Student ID, and let's me copy this one. Here I will print the student name, and here the email address. So go to your API project. You will return the student name, and go to your API project again and copy the email right here. Control S, and go to your project again, the API project, student list. And you can see that we have only get the empty rows, not the complete list. There may be some issue uh, here. Here I have the second empty. I mean, I am not getting the correct result. Okay, go to the API project again, student list. I think I have to return this data, but let's me try. Return. Okay, at the return, I have to Control X, Control V, not working. Control Z. Let me just go to the Google for a minute. React for loop, React.js dot map for loop or a list. It's the same example that I am using. No, you know that it's not working. Go to my old application, and here I have used for loop in many places, scalable navigation. Let me search dot map. Okay, and here I am returning. Copy this one just for the demonstration purpose. Control C, go to your application, and I will comment this at the time, and I will paste here below. But I have to remove all these things. Just for me the document for the time. Okay, this one, remove also this one. Okay, and here I have to use the student list. Okay, and inside this I have just to print uh, here. I am getting the error for my document. Sorry guys, here we have some other things like this one. We have to remove this, and we have to also remove this with my code. Student list and student ID. Control S. Go to the React.js application. Let me close the browser. Student list, home, student list. I don't know why I am getting the empty list. There may be empty response inside the API. If I go. Sorry, it is with a small letter start, not with a capital one. So I have just to replace with this one S and email, right? Remove this code, Control S. And here I have also to add a row for editing the record TD. Sorry guys, sorry. TD, yes. Format the document, Control S, go to the React.js application. And here you can see that we have populated the student list from our API. Inside the API, you can see that we are returning the student list. So at this point, if you want to get the record from the database, just make a call to the database and get the record from your database and return here to your um, and return here like in this way. Okay. Now I have to create a new student. Yes, when I click on this, a form should be populated, and inside the form, I will provide the student name and email, and when click on save, then the list should be saved successfully, right? Now let me do this job. To the create student page, and here I have to give the form, save form. We have a very simple form. Let me copy this one and paste here for my document, and replace the class with the class name. Okay, and here we have also to remove this line. There is no need at the time. From checkbox, remove this one. I have only to provide, it should be the text field for the student name, and it will be the email address, right? Let me copy this one, Control X, and paste below this line. And form, okay. And I have also to replace the input with a React input. I think it is like in this way in React. Let me see whether we have to use inside. Yes, we have to use like in this way in React. Sorry. Mm, okay, form control and remove all these things. Student name and student name required. It will be a required field, and here we have the value first name and change set first name set student name. I will define this function in a little while, and let's me copy this for the email address also. Sorry guys, Control Z, format the document, okay, Control C and paste here. It will be for enter email here, enter email, and it will be the email. Control C, and set email. I will define this function, and here we have to submit the form. Format the document, email address, email, and here we have to give the email, and it will be our email type. Okay, no, on submitting the form, we have to fire a function. This on submit, I have to handle sign up form. I have to define this function here. Constant is equal to. I have to define the arrow function. Okay. No, I will. When we click on the submit button, this function will be fired, and here we have defined this function on the submit of the form. I have just give two fields, the I mean the student name and the email, and I have to define first name variable, email, and also these two functions. Now go to the student list. In React.js, you have to use the use state for defining the variables. So copy this one, go to the create student, control V, control V. My first variable is first name. I will copy set first name. I will set student name. Okay, set student name. Just copy this one, control C, control V, control C, and also replace here. So it will be the student name variable, and this function will set the student name whenever I start typing inside the text box. Okay. Now for the email, let's me put here email. Okay, and this function will set the email, right? Now let's me execute the code and see the output. Use state is not defined. Okay, control F, quote, and here I have to give an empty string, not the array, because the student name and the email address is basically of string types. Okay, now click on create student. Here we have the the student creation form. So let's me make the form a little active. Sorry, control Z. Class name row, I have to add a bootstrap row, class name row, and inside the row I have to give a class column, sorry, class name column LG6, right? And inside this div I have to put my format the document. Now let's we see the output. Okay. Now here we have the output inside the create student. I think I should make the footer for the time uh, disable because it's just making our UI a little disturbing. Control S, go to the page. Okay. Now let me also give here some margin to this one student and the margin. I will put this button also in a div. Control X, format the document. Control S, last name margin top 2. Okay. Now let's me, yes, this field is required. This field is also required. Let's me put here name, please field. Yes, valid email is required. Okay. Now when I click on this button, I will send the first name and email to the API and I will create the student, right? Now go to the create student. I will make here the API call, right? Okay, so from the student list, as you can see that I have already make an API call. So let's me copy the header. I have to set the header for the API and I will make a post call to the API. So to make a post call, you have to use this. Let's me go to the application. Yes, like in this way, just import. I have to make this function, I think async like in this way. Okay, import the Axios. Okay, it is imported successfully. And here I have to give the URL. Control C, the URL for create student. Create student, right? And here I will just get the latest, the latest data. Either I will get some. I think I should handle it like if I get 200, then I should redirect to the student list. Okay. No, response is not equal to undefined response dot data dot length and it- then I will navigate to the we I will navigate to the student list URL, right? So from the CRUD routing, let's me copy this one. Control C, student list. Mm. Have also to import one another thing. Let me go to the sign up page and here I have to import the navigate. Like in this way. Define here. Use navigate. Param is not defined. Where is the param? Okay, so I have to send email and user and the student name. So let param is equal to student name is equal to student name, and email is equal to, I will send these two um, I mean parameter to the API for creating the student, right? Now let's me first create these API inside my project, right? Go to the API project, copy these existing API and paste here. Okay. Now, as you know that our this API is of HTTP GET type. Okay. And our this API will be of HTTP POST. HTTP POST. Okay. Stop the application. The URL for this API will be create student. Okay. Name will be student, and here I will pass the student as a parameter std. Okay, first I will check student is equal to null or dot, sorry, this one, student dot email, like in this way, or white space, uh, sorry, white space, the student dot name, then I will return bad request. Okay, and if each and everything is okay, then insert I will send this data to my database and I will insert the record. But at this time, guys, as you know that I am not sending the data to the database. So once you get all the data inside your API, then it's not a difficult job how to insert these data inside the database. You can use the Dapper, you can use the adio.net, you can use the Pita Poco and other ORMs. You can use the entity framework to insert these data inside the database. The basic job how you can send the data from the React.js application to this place. Okay, so if I have some if the email is null or the student is null, then I will return bad request. If each and everything is okay, then I will just add the student to the existing list. Let's suppose I have these three rows inside my database, then when the new row inserted successfully, then it will be returned like in this way. I have to add the new row to return the new row just for the demonstration. Okay, and here I will navigate to the student list. Let we go here, find the public public. I think we cannot define this in does not exist in the current cost. Okay, so remove here. From here we'll return the student list. to the API. Let me put here a debugger first. We are getting the update list, the API project. We got to get student list, create API. Okay. So I will get to the API project and let's me put here the data. Student name, let's suppose. Uh, yes, Asad. Let's suppose Asad @test.com, and you can see that the API hit it successfully. And let me show you here the data. I am getting Asad and Asad name. I am just sending student ID, not from the front end. That is why it is by default 0. So step next. Let me remove the debugger and I will show you the data in the front end side. Let's put here some test gmail.com like in this way. Submit. I think I did not put here some debugger. Debugger. Also put here a debugger. Yes. Submit. Right. Just put some dummy data here. Okay. So it's submitting by form to this line. Just click again. And list. Get student. Give a name. Yes. Submit form. Form. Refreshing page. When the web page from loading, we can use the prevent default method of the React.js event interface. Let me see how we can submit event.prevent default. Okay, let me see here. Event.prevent default. Dot. Okay. So let's we see what is the result. Okay, so it's not working. They'll submit event. They'll submit event. Okay. And here dot prevent default. Okay, let's me write like in this way. Dot prevent default, control S, go to the project. Get student Asad, get select, submit. Okay, I have just get it the response, and let me see the data. Guys, I have also get the fourth rows that I have just added, this one. You can see Asad and the email, and you can see here that I have just put. So it's mean that I am successfully inserting the new row inside my API, right? So we can create the API successfully, create Asad. Okay. In this row, you will be asking that why it's not coming, because uh, I am returning these hard-coded three rows from our get API, and inside these I have just added the new data for the demonstration purpose. That how we can do. You have basically to send these data to your database, and once saved, then you have to call these API, and from this API you have to return the actual data from your database, not like in this way. I'm just using here the hard-coded data. Okay. Now let's the application again, and here let's suppose I want to edit this row. How can I perform this operation? If I want to edit some information in this row, when I click on this one, I will get the information from the database against this ID, and then I will uh, send to the database when I click on submit. Okay, so now I have to create the edit functionality. So close all the existing, close all, collapse, go to the SRC, the views, copy the create student and paste here. Name this one get student.js, right? Let's me give here some name to this one. Control C, and here I have also to replace this one. Okay, update student, and go to the component CRUD routing, and here I have also to add the root for this one. Control V, look this line and paste. Control X, Control V, import this one. Okay, and here I have to use the root like in this way, update student, and I have also to pass the student ID, this page. Okay, now Control S. To get the parameter ID, there are plenty of methods. So let's me copy some from this one. Okay, let's me go to the product detail, product detail views, products, product detail. Okay, now I have to get the product ID from the parameter, right? I think I have use param set product ID. Okay, like in this way. Control C and paste here inside the update student. Okay, param, use params. No, I will get the student ID from the root. Okay, uh, param dot student ID. I will set inside the student ID, and I will also use this function if I want to set at later stages, right? I have to go to the create student page, sorry, to the student list, go to the loop, and here I have to use the link. Control X, Control V, and here I have to, sorry, it should be link, not link. Link, whether it is important? No, it's not imported. Okay, no, it's imported, and here I have to use the two uh, control control Z. I have to use like in this way. Copy the root, update student, update student. Okay, and here I have to pass the student ID. Okay, now it will be our complete road. Say the update student. I have also to add one another field for the student ID. ID, yes, set student ID, but this field will not be editable. That is why I will just mark this field as disabled. Okay, student ID. Control S, go to the application. Student ID is not defined. Right, student control F, param dot student ID. Line number 75. Date, student list, okay. Student ID is not defined. A line number. Item dot student ID. So it should be item dot student ID. Control S. Go to the page again. Okay. Now click on edit. Okay. You can see that I am successfully navigate to the update student functionality. Click on student list again. Click on the second one. You can see that the ID also changed successfully, and I am getting these inside this one. I mean inside the first text box. Yes, in this one. Okay. Now click on student list again, and when I click on this one, you can see that the IDs get. I mean, I'm getting the ID successfully, the three one. But these two fields are empty. You know. Now I have to get these two fields from the database. Okay. Now let's me create one another API. Stop the API project. I will copy these data and will be the URL will be get student I ID. Okay, get student by ID. It will be my API, and here I will just pass student ID, Control C, and ID. And here, let's suppose I will read this data from the database, and I will get the student with the ID that I am just passing to the API, right? Now, let's me filter this data student dot where. Let's suppose I read these data from the database, or I can also write my logic inside the store procedure. So where x dot student ID is equal to student ID that I am just passing, and here uh, I will just return first star default. Okay, I will just return the single object student variable student. Okay, and I will return the student, the single student. Okay, let's me make go to the React.js application, and here once my component loads successfully, then I will make an API call inside the use effect to get the student data. So inside the student list, I have already used the use effect. I will copy this one and will paste here. Okay. Now I will make an API call to this URL. I mean to this URL. Get student by ID. Okay. Uh, Student by ID, and I will plus here the student ID. This one that I am getting from the React.js URL. Okay. So data, I will get only a single object, not a list. So let's me the student name from the response dot data dot student name. Yes, remove this one, and I will also control C, control V, and I will also set the control S, run the API project. Let me put also here a debugger. Effect is not defined. Okay. Uh, I have just to import the use effect. Control S. Oh, here you can see that the API calls come successfully. Again, the student ID 3. I will step to next. And here you can see that I have 3 rows. And I will filter by student ID. You can see that after filtering, I just get it the student with ID 3. And I will now return to the front end. Let's me. Okay. But you can see that these data not filled successfully. If I just go to student list, edit, and here I have the empty data. Now, if I go to the student list, let me put here, the debugger is already set it. So I have just to, refresh, inspect, go to student list, and click on this one. Okay. I have get the response, and let me show you the response. Response dot data dot email and student name. The code is not coming inside these lines. If I should just define like in this way. So data is not equal to undefined control S. Okay. Student list 3. This information field from the database. Student list 1. This information field from the database. And student list 3. Okay. Student list 2. Okay. We are getting successfully all the information from the API. Let me also change the title. Update student. It should be update student. Less. Here we can update the student information just by sending these information to the database again. So here let me show you how we can send the information again to the database. I have just to send the student ID again with the database to the database student ID like in this way, comma. I will call the update. Sorry, we'll call the update API. So let's me create the API for updating the student record. Create Noor. Okay. Now here I have the API for creating the student. I will just create the API for update student. Get student. Okay. I will get these, but at this time I will also make a check for student dot ID. If student dot ID is less than 1, then I will also return the bad request. Okay. And here perform the operation for updating uh, student record. I will send this object to the database and I will update the record. At this time, let's suppose I have these 3 rows inside my database table, and let's suppose I am passing these the student with ID 3. Then I will update its record the name and student name, and I will return the latest information to the server to the front end. I mean to the React.js application, right? Okay. Now go to the student list, edit. Let's support I want to update this one. I will modify some information. I will click on submit, and all the information will be updated successfully, and the new data in the student list will be populated successfully, right? So guys, you can perform uh, the basic CRUD operation in React.js application using the ASP.NET 7 REST APIs like in this way. I will uh, here once again. Then for the time, I have just used hard-coded information, hard-coded student data inside the API. In the actual application, you have for the get student API, for the get student list, you have just to get the latest information from the database and then return to the React.js application. For creating the student, when you get these object inside the API, then you have first to check the validation, and then you have to save the data inside the database and then return some OK response like the information saved successfully. For the time being, I am not sending these objects to the database because it's not a difficult job. You can follow any my tutorial about the how we can insert update. How we can perform CRUD in ASP MVC. So there are also a tutorial regarded, right? And here I am just getting student by ID. So in this API, in the real life, you have, once you get these hit to these API, then you have to send these student ID to the database. You have to read these information from the database and then return to the front end, I mean to the React.js application. And same for updating the student record. Let me correct one thing. I have to modify the URL for updating the student. It will be like in this way, right? So these were the basic operation. Let me also remove these things, and you can modify the UI and other thing of the application according to your needs. Thank you for watching the video, and keep growing in your life. Thank you. Thank you so much.